night, but they tied the NBA record for threes in a game, 3 attempts in a game, 61. When you look at the league now and the way that it's moved to 5 out, space in the floor, a lot of threes going up, do you feel like it's just a matter of time before when you get to that level, you're going to be a guy that's going to fit in perfectly with how that game's played?
Yeah, I do feel that way with the game that's played. I feel like my game translates to the league a lot, and I got a lot of that information from some teams that were able to contact me and give me that information. So my game does translate. I think the biggest part of my game now is just showing them that I can get bigger, become more of a playmaker and things like that sort, and increase my three-point percentage. So once I show them that I can be the best shooter on the court at all times, I really feel like that space will really help my game.
Thank you, Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
Curtis?
Hey, Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
Just curious, and obviously there were a lot of things that went into the decision that you had to make here, but taking a look just at the coaching staff and all of the NBA experience and professional experience that the Arkansas staff has, what did that mean to you in terms of making the decision, and how big of a factor do you think that'll be for you as you prepare for the upcoming season?
Yeah, we have our coaches. I mean, they're a variety. They come from all different places. They all have NBA background, whether they coached or played. And so they really have a lot of information and a lot of things that I can use in my game to really help me get to that next level. So I feel like staying is kind of almost being in the league in a way, because I feel like it's a great training ground with the knowledge that they have and that they're able to drop down to us.
For that.
Yes, sir.
Scotty?
Yeah, Isaiah, I'm curious if you got a feel for the kind of the buzz and the excitement for the upcoming season, after you made your announcement on Saturday.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, I'm curious if you got a sense for the buzz and the excitement for next season after your announcement.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of buzz. Then when I made my announcement, I feel like a lot of people were really happy. The state, my coaching staff, my teammates, my family, it's me especially. I mean, I feel like we made a lot of buzz, and now just time to perform. And like I said earlier, hopefully we get to play some games. But yeah, I feel like the buzz is going to carry a long way.
I guess just in your opinion right now, I know we're still several months from what would be the start of the season, but what do you think expectations should be for you guys?
I don't have enough information to speak on that, but I think the main thing is the teams being responsible, making sure they're doing their social distancing, and try not to have a lot of contact during these practices, or if anybody's practicing, I think we'll be able to have a good amount of games. So I think the main thing right now is just staying safe during this process, trying not to rush anything.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Aiden?
Hey, Isaiah, how are you, man? I'm just kind of curious, maybe some conversations you had with the new guys that have been in with Moses and Devontae and all these other guys who call the state of Arkansas home. Just
before I even got up here. So we were always in contact. They were always, asking, where am I at in my decision process. I feel like, playing with those guys, we just have really great chemistry. And the guys that play the best, are the ones that are really cool outside of the court. And the whole team is that way. We're a brotherhood, and everybody's really excited that I'm back. And so now it's just time to, put it out on the court and have that good chemistry.
as far as a leadership standpoint goes, you're going to be the veteran on this team, you and Desi for sure. How much have they talked to you about expectations? And I'm sure at the same time, since you played with Muss last year and you've been here the longest, just what your leadership means to those guys when expectations are probably going to be as high as they've been in, 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, we do have to pick up that leadership role. I mean, you got to have the leaders on the team to have a successful season. But at this point, our culture is everybody is a leader in their own way, whether it's vocal or leading by example. Everybody's a leader. So the more leaders you have on a team, the more successful that you can be. But you definitely have to establish that.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Nikki, did you have anything? Well, it's tough when you see a young person on a Zoom call and not be able to figure out how to unmute. That's tough.
I understand.
I'm sorry. I have two screens going, and I couldn't get my mouse over. I'm good, Kyle. Move on, please.
All right. Trey Biddy.
Hey, Isaiah. Hey, I was curious. You talked about some of the in-state guys that you're familiar with and stuff, but what about this entire roster with the sit ones last year? Obviously, Iola's not going to be able to play. It's unfortunate, but with the sit one guys, the grad transfers you've added, and the freshmen, how much did the idea that you guys might be able to do something special with this team play into you coming back?
Yeah, so I mean, I do think it's really exciting being able to play with a lot of new faces. Like we had the sit-outs last year that haven't had a chance to touch the floor, and they will this year. And then we had the grad transfers. And I think it's really exciting, getting to know the new people coming on and getting to play on the court with the guys that didn't get to play last year, along with the the grad transfers and the freshmen. So it's always a good thing to see. A team succeeding that way, like I said, it's gonna be exciting, for all of us to get out on the court and show what we do best. I really feel like we have great talent this year, and we have a really high ceiling.
With this being such a difficult decision, coming all the way down to the wire for you, do you think that this might have been different had we not been in a global pandemic and you would have been able to work out stuff? You think your decision could have been different?
Yeah, I mean, but only there's no way to really tell that, but it definitely would have played a bigger role if we didn't have this pandemic. Like I said, we would probably still be having NBA workouts. Things wouldn't be getting postponed as much. The draft would have been back in June, so and we wouldn't have been sitting here, just doing Zoom meetings all the time. But so that definitely would have played a role. And then before that, I mean, we would have got to finish the SEC and the NCAA tournament. That's one thing that was really unfortunate for teams not to be able to finish their season. So this epidemic really played a big part.
Thanks, Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
Good. Hey, Isaiah, congratulations to you, man. It's going to be fun watching you next year.
Thank you.
Ty?
Yeah, Isaiah, you mentioned telling Muss a week ago. I know that you were probably still badgered at every gas station, Walmart, wherever you walked in. Hey, you coming back? You coming back? You finally announced it on Saturday. Was it a sigh of relief when you finally got to tell the state that you were coming back?
Yeah, because now I feel like I can sit back and focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's this upcoming season. It's difficult not knowing whether you're going to go or come back, and making a decision, made it really easy. It was a sigh of relief, not just for me, but for the fans, the coaching staff, my family. And yeah.
So 2 years ago when you were a freshman, Daniel was kind of the guy. Last year, Mason assumed that role. Do you think this year that you're going to be able to take that next step and be really the guy, the leader of this basketball team?
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the leadership. You got to be able to pick up that role. And me being a veteran, being here for this my third year, second year with Coach Muss, you got to lay down the ground rules. Let the freshmen and all the newcomers know the system. And me, Desi, and along with Ethan, we all know Coach Muss's system, and he really expects us to be the leaders on the court and make sure guys know what's going on at all times. But like I said, we have a lot of talent, so anybody. When it comes to playing games, anybody can do their thing at any time, because we have a really big roster spread.
Thanks, Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
Nate? Nate Allen, you're muted.
How about that? Finally unmuted?
You're good to go. Yes, sir.
All right. Isaiah, just as far as your game, what do you feel you need to work on to improve your draft stock next year?
Yeah, so I feel like I need to keep the main thing. The main thing is be the best shooter on the court at all times, really show that I can, knock down the shot at a consistent clip. But I think the biggest thing people want to see is me, get bigger and bulk up and get stronger. I've been gaining weight consistently over the past couple years, and I really see that I'm going to continue to do that. So, I can continue to, show that I can hold my own on defense, become more of a playmaker. But, at the end of the day, when I go to the next level, they're going to want me to, knock down the shot really, really consistently.
Also, how much did game 1 year closer to graduation have an effect on your decision?
Say that one more time.
On getting another year of school to be that much closer to graduation, how much did that affect your decision?
Yeah, so in my family, education is very important. It's really important. I'm a finance major, so my parents really expect a lot from me when it comes to my school. But being one step closer to graduation is huge because now I might not have to think about coming back to school or anything like that if I choose to. So definitely school is one thing that's really important.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Hutch?
Yeah, Isaiah, you mentioned bulking up as one of your goals. I mean, what are you at weight-wise now, and do you kind of have a goal that you'd like to get to before you go to the NBA draft?
Yeah, so right now I'm sitting in the 175 to 180 range, and my goal is be able to sit at around 185 come our first game. And draft time, if I'm in the 190 range, that'd be perfect. 'Cause once I get to the next level, I'm gonna bulk up even more.
And then you were invited to the combine. What did that mean to you, and did that maybe make the decision that much harder knowing that you had that invite?
Oh, it was definitely a huge honor, to get that invitation. Not too many people get the opportunity to experience getting that invitation. So it definitely made this decision a little bit tougher, knowing that I was amongst those guys that they feel is ready for the next level.
Appreciate it, Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
Mike?
Isaiah, going all the way back to the Eddie Sutton era, that term, the triplets, always meant in-state guys that are really good helping the team. And there have been more than one set of those. But now you've got 7 in-state guys, all pretty highly recruited, which is really unprecedented. Do you feel like there's already a camaraderie among you guys, the 7 of you, and kind of a feeling that it's going to make a real difference to have 7 in-state guys on this team that are all playing well?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like playing in state is real exciting, and you play with a lot of pride when you're playing in a state that you were born and raised in, and you get to play in front of your friends and family. So I definitely think it gives us the edge. I've always felt that way, and I think the freshmen and the guys that are in state feel that way too. And I think it's like I said. I mean, all of us that are from Arkansas, we already knew each other beforehand, so the chemistry is going to be fantastic. So I just can't wait to get out there before.
The other day in a Zoom, Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director, really gave a lot of credit to the athletes for keeping the infection numbers down. He said the latest round of tests, nobody tested positive. We talked about how difficult that was for all of you guys to kind of give up your social lives, but some people are suggesting that's going to get a lot harder when the students hit the campus, because now you guys don't just know yourselves, you know students, and they like to go out and have fun. So what do you think is going to happen when school starts? Do you think that would affect, you guys in terms of keeping those test positive numbers down?
I really feel like our coaching staff and our players are really, really responsible, and we got our main focus on playing games, and we know the risk that comes with students coming to campus, and we have to be safe just so we can have the season. Once the students get here, we still got to keep our social distance. We'll probably do the same thing in practice, so we won't let it affect us too much because we got really smart guys on our team that won't go out and do anything that's detrimental.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dudley?
Isaiah, obviously y'all were a really small basketball team last year. You got added length in just about every position. How much is that going to help y'all, and how much versatility does it bring to you?
You mentioned the size that we had last year compared to this year.
Yes.
It's gonna help. It's gonna help a lot. Especially on the defensive end, getting the rebounds, being able to have the bodies in the paint. So we'll be able to compete more in the paint. And also our big guys, we still got guys that can move, such as like Adriel was last year and Reggie Chaney. So we still got guys that can move. So we're really gonna be solid. You got 7'3" Connor Vanover. You can't teach 7'3", so he's definitely gonna fill up a lot. We got Justin Smith that's very athletic. We got Vance and Ethan, and so we definitely got guys that can fill it up in the paint, offensively and defensively.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, Bob, you've got the last two.
Isaiah, when you told Eric, Coach Musselman, that you were coming back, what was his reaction? Did he scream, or what was his reaction? Were you in person on the phone? How'd you tell him? What was his reaction?
Yeah, we were in person. He was really happy. He was very happy. He was like, "Man, I want to give you a big hug, but I just, we can't violate the social distance." But he was so happy. I think he told the staff right after, and everybody seemed happy. And it just made me feel good, to be able to say that I made my decision and that everybody accepted me with open arms.
So you told him a week before you made the announcement?
Yes.
So what was it like keeping a big secret like that for a whole week, not letting it leak out?
Oh yeah, it was it's tough, but I mean we know how to handle certain situations when people ask questions. We know how to kind of give them the go around about that. But it was only a week, so a week wasn't too bad.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Yes, sir, Bob.
All right, Isaiah, we're excited for you, man. We're all looking forward to seeing you play with us again. All right.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for having me. Have a good day.
Thanks, Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna get Muss on here in just a second.
I wonder if you could ask
Kyle?
We
good?
Yes, sir. Ready to go when you are.
Isaiah disconnected, so we're good.
What Isaiah doing?
Hey, Muss.
What's happening?
All right. You ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right. Ellie, you want to get us going?
Obviously, how happy were you? I mean, I know you had to be ecstatic that Isaiah's coming back. It just what all does he add back to this team? And the the versatility you've added.
Dudley, I love the palm trees in the back.
Socially distant from everybody on the beach here.
What beach?
It's the Dawson Beach in Springdale.
Looks awesome. I think we're all really excited to have Isaiah back. I know it's always a tough it's a tough decision for guys that are in that position. But we're extremely excited to have him back without a question of a doubt, and now just looking forward to working with him and getting him ready to have an incredibly career year.
Ellie, you good?
Yes.
Okay. Bob?
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Good. What's up, Bob?
I'm good. Isaiah said, I guess he told you in person a week ago Saturday. When he came in, did you know he was going to tell you his decision, and were you surprised, or how did you react?
Yeah, when we had our conversation, I actually was surprised. I think that he went through a period where, he had a goal in mind, and maybe it kind of seemed like he was going to come back, and then I think that there became more and more interest, more interviews, and then maybe he was leaning towards taking the NBA route, and then at the very end, he came back around to, thinking that this was going to be, the best decision for him. So, and when he told me, I asked him 2 or 3 times, are you sure? Is this really what you want to do? Are you excited about it? And he was excited, and he had zero reservation in his voice, when we discussed it.
And is today going to be the first time he practices with you guys? And if so, what's that going to be like having him at practice?
Yeah, we just finished practice. He went through some of the drills he didn't go through. But yeah, we had a good practice today, and it's awesome to have him back. He understands all our terminology. He does everything the right way. So it was really good to have him back.
Okay, I'll pass the baton, but if you got a chance to come back, I'll be here.
As always, Bob. Curtis?
Hey, Coach. Obviously, having a guy like Isaiah back in the mix that's a big deal. That's exciting. But you know what he brings to the table at this point. So I'm just curious, with the last 2 weeks of practice without Isaiah on the floor, have you guys found that somewhat beneficial in terms of being able to evaluate all the new faces that you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a short, 4-hour last 2 weeks, and we're talking about things like roster development, trying to come up with what our philosophical identity will be. I think with him not, being a part of those first 2 weeks, maybe we're fast tracking some guys at certain positions, which will be good for them. But we got a lot of guys learning the system, learning the playbook. But it's, I think from an evaluation standpoint, we got to get creative with how we evaluate, just because of the landscape of the COVID-19 and but right now we're just trying, how do we, quote unquote, roster development is really what we're trying to do right now. And I think the guys are excited too, to have Isaiah back.
I imagine they are. With Isaiah back in the mix, adding a shooter with his capabilities, you take a look at the roster and it seems like you have a pretty deep assortment of perimeter shooting threats. Have you ever had a roster that you remember coaching in the past where you could put all 5 guys on the floor who are capable 3-point shooters without giving up size?
Yeah, I would, our team at Nevada that went to the Sweet 16 was built a little bit like this because of, Kendall Stevens was such a great shooter, and the Martin twins obviously could really shoot. And those 3 guys were all 6'7", and gave us, really good versatility. And then Jordan Caroline was a guy that could play inside out at 6'7". So we've kind of, have had a team in the past where we could put 5 shooters out there, but every team's got their own identity. Certainly Isaiah, changed the landscape of who we are, what our identity can look like. And I do think for sure, Curtis, that we do have some roster flexibility for how we want to play. But sort of, other teams in the SEC have they got players that have tested the waters. And as I was walking in, I saw Alabama got, Petty back. And so, I mean, it's talented league for sure.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Yeah, hey, Eric. In terms of a guy like Isaiah comes back, he has specific things he wants to get better at. He's sharp enough to know that. What would you say he needs to show improvement on this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, number one is just, his overall body development comes with age and continuing to work in the weight room, continue to, from a nutritional standpoint, to try to add body weight to his frame. And I think that alone will significantly help him, because that's really important at the next level. And I know that he's committed to, not that he hasn't been in the past, but I think he's excited about the weight room. I think he's excited about nutrition. And he's such a great shooter. We never want to take away from that. But, I think drawing fouls, adding free throws attempted to his game, and continue to evolve as a ball handler, I think those are things that he's looking forward to. And, so I think that every player, until you hit about 30 years old, you constantly want to evolve and try to get better.
Throughout this crisis, there's been no real certainties about how things are going to progress. What's your thoughts about being able to put fans in the stands when basketball comes back around?
Yeah, I'm just, really glad the NBA's playing. There's no fans, but it's awesome to tonight I'm going to go home and watch NBA basketball. I'm going to turn on the MLB and see baseball games, and the WNBA's playing, and the basketball tournament finished their tournament start to finish. And so there's been a lot of real positivity that's happened during this pandemic that in my opinion, is not talked enough about, because there are some things that are happening where guys are competing and we're able to have sports. And I just, hopeful for SEC football, whether there's fans or whatever that situation ends up being. And I think we'll worry about basketball fans after we figure out what's happening with football. We certainly hope that Coach Pittman and his group gets to play games, and I think we're optimistic and hopeful that'll happen. But as far as what happens with us and fans, I think that's down the road, and really no reason to speculate as things kind of twist and turn on a daily basis.
Thanks, Miles.
Thanks, Tom.
Kevin?
Hey, Mus.
What's up, Kevin?
Hey, Isaiah Joe, last year you coached the SEC Player of the Year in Mason Jones. Do you see Isaiah Joe as a guy that comes in preseason deserving of some talk for SEC preseason Player of the Year? And if you do, can you talk about some of the tangibles and maybe intangibles that would go into him being that kind of guy for you in year two?
Yeah, Kevin, I certainly feel like he has got to be mentioned as a preseason type Player of the Year, and you look at what he's done. I mean, he's there's you look at freshman, sophomore seasons, and he's had 2 great years as a really young player. I mean, there's going to be other players in our league that'll be going into their junior and senior year. Obviously, he's going into his junior year, and I think he's been a guy that's proven he's an all-league first-team guy, even his first 2 years in college. And he does a lot of intangible things. Obviously, everybody talks about the shooting and how he spaces the floor. And, for us, speed and space is a term that we've used with our team from an offensive standpoint. And he's going to really help in that speed and space game. But, yeah, I think there's no doubt he's worthy and should be a guy talked about. When you talk about the top players in our league, I don't think there's any doubt in that.
Follow-up question here. Recruiting so big, and obviously you've had a great year, top 5 national class high school, top 10 transfer. Should we look at decisions like this and the work that a staff has to do to balance, giving players good information that might help them decide to leave, but also showing them the importance of maybe coming back? That's recruiting too, right? I mean, is this like winning a 5-star recruit? And how tough is it to kind of be in the middle on that fence with pros and cons as whether or not he should stay or go?
Yeah, I think that's just kind of, it depends on the player really, Kevin, on how involved. But certainly we tried to provide Isaiah and his father as much information as we possibly can. We also tried to help facilitate any calls that we might have gotten to help facilitate Zoom interviews. And I think the bottom line is when you lose, like, I've been in the NBA. I know how great it is. I know how great the lifestyle is. I know the level of play. That's the dream of any basketball player. So as a coach or a coaching staff or administration, you want to do everything you possibly can to try to help that player reach his goal as quickly as he can, but also to put himself in a position where he can have a career at that level. And so you discuss pros and cons, and if asked, you kind of give an opinion on what you think might be best. And I think it varies from player to player or family to family how involved a coach at the collegiate level will be in this. But Isaiah and Derek his father were very thorough throughout the process. They took their time, which they certainly should, because it's a monumental decision. And you're really, myself, the trainer, the strength coach, the assistant coaches, support staff, we're just here to try to support Isaiah throughout the process. And I hope that he feels like, we kind of went, did it the right way. But I would not say, Kevin, that we recruited him. That's the last thing that I would ever want to do with a player, is to try to recruit him back if he's trying to pursue an NBA dream. I want to just provide the pertinent information that's based on facts from phone calls and people that you trust and have long-standing relationships with, and then let the player and his family make the proper decision. Now, getting him back, does it feel like we got a star back? Unequivocally, yes. There's no question about that. But I don't really look at it from a, quote-unquote recruiting standpoint, because, I don't believe in trying to, recruit somebody away from what they really want to do. And we know, I know right now Isaiah wants to play in the NBA. He's part of the Arkansas Razorbacks right now, but he has a goal and dream to play in the NBA. And so, we want to try to help him in practice behind closed doors, to work on skill development, to put himself in the best position to be as high a draft pick as he possibly can a year from now.
Thanks, Mus.
Thanks, Kev.
Hayden?
Hey, thanks, Kyle. Hey, Coach, just Isaiah kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but he just talked about the pride and how much of a privilege it is to play for the state you grew up in and were raised in. And I was just kind of wondering, how much do you think that led to his decision coming back? And also, he said he was on the practice floor a little bit today. He's played with so many of these guys that are from Arkansas and AAU and against them in high school. Just the camaraderie and the conversations and the fun they have sort of playing beside each other and then maybe running drills with each other once again.
Yeah, I think the guys are, like I mentioned earlier, I think they're really excited to have him back. I know that it was really important for him to tell the guys himself. And, and then there's obviously familiarity with those guys, both on the floor and off the floor from a bonding standpoint. And I don't think there's any doubt that, the Razorbacks and the University of Arkansas mean a lot to Isaiah. There's no question about that. But I also think that he kind of tried to separate that, kind of make the best business decision that he thought would help his career, both short-term and long-term. And I think he and his family did an incredible job of kind of removing all emotions from the decision.
Gotcha. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, we got time for a few more. Trey, Biddy.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Trey?
So, recruiting, you guys are well known for throwing stuff against the wall, coming up with creative ideas, branching off all that stuff. How difficult is that right now with, being limited to Zoom meetings and virtual tours and stuff? And have you come up with anything that's kind of off the wall?
We probably have, but we don't want to share anything that's not already out there, Trey. But I tell our staff every single day, whether it's the text that they wake up to in the morning, or whether it's talking with the administration, whether it's talking with sports information department, there's no excuse right now to not be as good a recruiters as anyone in the country. I don't mean like top 10, but I mean just from a recruiting standpoint, because right now everybody's equal. How quickly can you put together virtual presentations? How creative are you getting in your virtual presentations? How much are you changing the virtual presentations? Are you creating new ones on a weekly basis? How do you not become stale? Because to just go say, hey, we're gonna do a virtual tour of campus, and you're only going to do one of them. Well, guess what? Somebody else is doing 2 and 3. So, but on the recruiting aspect, I mean, the landscape has changed, and it's probably changed. It's never going to look the same, I don't think. I think that this virtual stuff is going to stick around. And I think that's a good thing, because I think you can kind of educate people a little bit more on your program than maybe just waiting for a visit. I think maybe you can find out what's real and not real even before an official visit on campus. And then there's always the evaluation piece that right now has changed. We can't read body language, and you're evaluating on live stream and so forth. And so we're going to be extremely patient in recruiting this class, and try to eliminate as many mistakes as possible. And there's, whether it's an NBA draft, a Major League Baseball draft, an NFL draft, college recruiting, you're not gonna bat 1,000. Nobody does in any sport, and so you just try to, do it as best you can from an evaluation standpoint and gather as much information. And right now it's really hard and challenging to get a lot of information. And so we're going to be a little bit, slower, maybe than in the past as far as how we go about things moving forward.
And with the roster right now, with how it's comprised with 4 freshmen, 3 returners, we got 3 sit ones with Abiami out, I guess, and then the 3 grad transfers. Is this your wheelhouse? Is this kind of what we can expect from a Eric Musselman type of roster, pulling from every angle like that?
Well, I mean, I think right now when you look at, let's just start with transfers. When you look at the number of transfers in any sport, the landscape has changed, and you can either do things the way they used to be, or you can evolve with what's going on in current society. And so that's what we've tried to do. I think, like this year's roster has a nice blend and a nice mix. Certainly, I think from we don't know what the landscape's going to be like moving forward, regarding transfers and so on. And so, I guess I really can't answer that, Trey. I think that what we are trying to do is have a team that can win, have a program that can graduate guys, as a program where guys experience at the college level is what it should be, which should be the best time of their lives. So that's what we're trying to do throughout this process. And, the feedback that we've got from the grad transfers right now, as far as new players that have played, elsewhere, really, really, really positive feedback in a short amount of time on their experience, whether it's in practice or living in Northwest Arkansas, whatever it may be. Really positive feedback so far.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Nikki?
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Nikki.
Fans' expectations have just skyrocketed since Isaiah Joe announced his news. How much have your expectations grown since that? And is it kind of where you expect this program to be every year preseason, in the top 25 discussion?
Yeah, I think that, like no one's going to put more expectations on anything than I will internally. Last year, my expectations going into every game were try to win every game, and the games that we didn't win, I was devastated, but I do think that they played as hard as they could, and certainly right now we have a roster that we feel is deeper, more talented than last year's roster, and I think the guys that were here last year and are here now would say the same thing. Even Mason. Mason was at a practice last week, and he thought that, the makeup of the roster. And again, right now what we are is we're a team with potential. There's a lot of factors like chemistry, accepting roles, sharing the basketball, rotating on defense when you're supposed to, getting loose balls, playing hard. All those things, I don't know how they're going to go. But I knew that if we had a good roster, that the expectations at Arkansas, I knew what they were going to be like, because we have incredible fans that got a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and they want to win. And so I knew that there would be expectations, and certainly with Isaiah coming back, those expectations got even more so, which is cool. Bring it on, and then we got to try to put it together as best we can.
Thank you.
It's better, Nikki, than the other way, when there's
I
no
agree.
expectations.
Definitely agree.
For my question, you've only been here about, a season. How nice is it to have somebody who's already had success with your system to come back and almost help out the new freshmen and new players implement your system for year two?
Yeah, no, Troy, it's nice meeting you, and I think certainly, Isaiah is going to be he's going to be a stabilizing influence. When you're in a game and you're on a roller coaster and the game's going like this and there's runs, who do you look to as a coach? Who do your teammates look to? And Isaiah is kind of like that stabilizing guy that never got on the roller coaster. He's kind of, comes at you with this methodical pace. And all of us, me included, rely on somebody like Isaiah. All right, let's look at him. He's got, everything together. He's going to, hit a big shot when we need it. He's going to take a charge when we need it. He's going to have that defensive rotation when we need it. And then when he's not in the game, he's always a guy on the bench that's seeing the game, can discuss what's going on with teammates. And certainly, even the last 2 weeks when he was still going through the NBA process, when he was at practice, he was awesome buddy coaching on the side. It's a phrase we use to buddy coach and help your teammates out, get them in the right spots and drills. And he's been an extra coach for us when he's been around and not doing NBA Zoom stuff. So certainly during the course of the season, Troy, he's going to be somebody that we rely on for so many things, not just getting us buckets, but to be a stabilizing influence who's proven player in this system.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thanks.
All right, last one, Nate. Go ahead.
Nate, you're on mute.
Unmute, damn it.
There you go. You went back to mute, Nate.
Damn it. How about
All right,
now?
Now
You're
you're
good.
good.
Okay, good. Let me get it while I can. As far as on defense, what does it mean to have him back? And also just having your best shooter be the first to take a charge. How much does that help the team?
No, I think, I think, Nate, when somebody's willing to lay their body on the line, number one, it means they're in the proper defensive position off the ball. I think that's, something that we talked to our team about. You can't take a charge if you're out of help defense. And so when you have a player that's a high take a charge guy like Isaiah, well, guess what? That means he's a great off-ball defender, and he's in the right spot defensively to be a help guy. Otherwise, those charges turn into blocking calls. And so I think that's contagious. When a guy does that, we call it, when you're on the weak side, to be on the blue line, a hockey term, not to be off hugging your man. And Isaiah does as good a job being on the blue line as anybody I've coached, meaning he's willing to err on the side of being an overly health player as instead of being a selfish defender where he's only worried about his man. And that's why you see such a high volume of taking charges in his short 2-year career here. But I think he all of a sudden made us a better help defensive team as well when he made his decision to come back.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nate.
All right, Mus. Appreciate your time. We'll let you get to it.
Thanks, bro. See you guys.
All right, man. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kyle.
Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.